Good morning, good afternoon for others. Welcome everybody on the line, and thanks for your time and participation today. This, of course, is a very special CloudFlare webinar where we will review the new products and some updates to our existing products. With that said, let me get to our presenters today. My name is John Burling, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at CloudFlare. Joining us is Brian Megardician. He's one of our esteemed solutions engineers. And as well, of course, is Nick McGordy from our business development team. About communicating with us as we go forward. If you are a CloudFlare customer, feel free to reach out with questions to your Customer Success Manager, or if you just want to tell us that this was the best part of your day, that's fine too. If you're not a CloudFlare customer, please reach out to us with successwebinars@cloudflare.com. To the agenda, we'll start with some housekeeping items. Then Brian and Nick will talk about our network expansion and updates to our all of our enterprise features. We'll review Argo and load balancing updates. And then we'll get on to the real heart of the webinar, and that will be our new products, beginning with Access and a demo of what that looks like. Workers, a really dynamic product, and what that looks like. We'll review Argo Tunnel, mobile SDK, and then rounding out at the end with Stream and Spectrum, which are two enterprise-only products. Okay. As much as we would like to have a live conversation with all of you, that would be great. Logistically, it's a little difficult, so you're all muted. Please feel free to ask questions in the question box. However, we'll triage those as they come in, and we'll have time at the end to answer all your questions. Since you're all here, of course, you registered, and again, thanks for being here. We'll share the slides and the recording via email to all of you. With that said, I'll hand it over to Nick and Brian to talk about network expansion.
John, thank you so much. Brian, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing awesome. So we are going to kick it off. So a big focus here at CloudFlare is our expanding network. Could you give us an idea of the work we put into the network recently and where we're going with it, and why that would be important for our customers?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I think when I first talked to CloudFlare, a while back, there were around 80 or so data centers. Since that, currently we're at about 151 data centers, and we see ourselves rounding out at about 200 data centers by the end of the year. So if you take a look at this map, there are a list of live data centers, there are a list of planned data centers, and some of these planned data centers have actually already been fulfilled.
Awesome. Okay, moving on real quick. So before we get into the net new products, there's been a bunch of features added to all of the current enterprise subscriptions. Could you run down these and talk a little bit about their utility and where they can be found within the UI?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I guess to start with, taking a look at logs and how those historically have went. So just kind of, on an upward trend, they're always kind of getting better day by day. But to focus on DNS logs today, so essentially if you want to take a look at historically what's been going on with your DNS resolution. So if that's, top host names queried that resulted in an NX domain response, so nothing really there. And, another couple other aggregate features. You can actually take a look at that on the analytics page today.
Cool. And then audit logs.
And then audit logs, a little bit different. So this is if you have a multi-user organization as an enterprise customer. You actually just go ahead and click on your username in the top right-hand corner of your CloudFlare dashboard, choose your organization, and then over on the right-hand side, you'll actually see this Audit Logs tab. So from here, you can start to see, what users were logged into your account, what changes they've made, what the data was before they made the change. So not really not a finger-pointing tool, but something to kind of just keep track of the changes that were made inside your account.
Awesome. A couple other features to go over real quick. Argo tiered caching, CloudFlare Geo Key Manager, and Zone Lockdown. Can you run through those as well?
Sure. Yeah, I'll run through this. So Argo, we will talk a little bit more about, smart routing going along with Argo in a second. We'll talk about Argo Tunnel as well. But to focus on tiered caching, so essentially tiered caching is taking, the cache fills that we get in Cloudflare's network, and instead of doing that at every point of presence that we have for every customer that reaches out to you, we'll actually go ahead and fill the cache close to your origin, and then anyone else that reaches out further away, we'll go ahead and fill the cache from another Cloudflare presence.
Gotcha. And then last but not least, zone lockdown and user agent blocking.
Yeah. Zone lockdown, user agent blocking. I'll actually just get those in just a second. So the Cloudflare GeoKey Manager. So first of all, that is available right in your crypto tab on your custom uploaded SSL certificates. So if you wanted to upload a custom SSL certificate, but you don't actually want to put that key and certain material in certain countries or certain areas in the world, or if you wanted to keep it in our just top security data centers, you can actually choose where to do that. So that will essentially just show up in the custom upload.
Got you. My bad, Brian. I skipped over that one.
No worries.
Now, zone lockdown and user agent blocking.
So zone lockdown and user agent blocking. So those were two of our most requested custom WAF rules. So what we did is we actually just went ahead and, if you jump over to the firewall tab and you scroll down just beneath the IP firewall, you'll see these two new tools. So zone lockdown is essentially saying certain portions of my website or app or API, I only want to be accessible from these IPs or ranges. User agent blocking, similar functionality, but kind of the inverse of that, and really focusing on what user agent is hitting you. So this is usually helpful if you know of an attacker that's using a certain user agent, or there's a crawler or a bot going over your website and they're using that same user agent. You can just go ahead and add this in, and that will just block those users out.
Moving on to updates to 2017 products, specifically Argo and load balancing. Mm-hmm. Could you give us just like for those who might not know what these products are, just a quick understanding of what they are, then the changes that have occurred over the last year?
Yeah, definitely. So we covered tiered caching a bit, but along with tiered caching, we've also got smart routing analytics that goes along with Argo in general. So smart routing, for those that haven't seen this just yet, is the ability to, instead of going from Cloudflare's point of presence and reaching back out to your origin to fetch assets for your users, instead of just normally going over the public internet, we can actually add another Cloudflare point of presence in that path and actually speed things up and reduce latency, reduce errors. So this is just the ability to kind of take a look at those, the performance gains that you'll see by putting Cloudflare Argo smart routing in place. Mm-hmm. And this will be available on the analytics page as well.
Awesome. The other view of the analytics is like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is really good, especially if you have a large global user base. Just the way that Argo smart routing works, you'll usually see that if you have a large global audience, you'll get really good gains for people that are further away, where we can add more points of presence in Cloudflare's network. So you'll see this at the top level.
And then rounding this off with load balancing updates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so load balancing, this has been a product that's just kind of ever evolving, so we're kind of adding features as users request them. It started as a very solid product, but we're just adding new features here. So the configurable waiting, if in the past you set up load balancing on Cloudflare, it would have been just an even distribution amongst your servers. But some users said, I want 60% of my traffic to go to this server and 40% to this server. So now you can just set that up when you're going through your normal process. The event logs that go along with that, if any of our health monitors see that your origins are down, we'll start to log that, and you can just pull that directly from the UI right beneath your load balancer. And then finally, session affinity. This is, in that scenario that we talked about with the 60-40 split, if one of your users gets pushed over to the 60% server, we'll just go ahead and keep pushing that user to that same server just to make sure that their session doesn't break in any way.
Thanks, guys, for that update. Great to hear about the improvements we're making for all of our features available to all end customers. For those who maybe just logged on, just a reminder about questions. Again, if you are a Cloudflare customer, feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. If you're not, please reach out to us via successwebinars@cloudflare.com. And now on to the main event today, where I'll hand it back over to Nick and Brian.
Cool. Starting off, Cloudflare Access. Brian, what is Cloudflare Access? And can you tell us a bit about the inception story here, why Cloudflare would choose to invest in something like this? It does seem like, for those who do know about Cloudflare and the products we've released in the past, this is a bit of a right turn for us. So I think the story is pretty interesting. And then if you could also maybe talk about an interesting case study and the status of the product as it is today.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. I'll kind of jump into that. So essentially, Cloudflare Access, just to cover what it is. So this is just really a way that you can put a login or authentication layer on top of your internet-facing application. So let's say you have something like an admin.mydomain.com or wiki.mydomain.com. You can just put this right on top of your web page just to make sure that someone has to authenticate through an IDP or identity provider like G Suite or Okta or one of those. And this is the full list here as of today. And then when it comes to the inception story, like how we really thought of this, so we definitely got some inspiration from others that were doing things like this. So we internally actually started to make a product so our engineers that were kind of spread throughout the world could get into certain control panels that we have and that kind of thing. So we thought, why don't we actually move this to the customers that could really use something like this, and it would be terminating at 151 data centers.
Awesome. And I believe you have a demo for Access. Is that correct?
I do. So let me go ahead and share that now. Great. So we will actually just going to share this. Okay, there we go. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a policy that we've already set up. So in this case, it's for accessdemo.theburritobot.com. So you can choose which subdomain that's going to be on. So we're just going to put in the application name that we're choosing here, Cloudflare Access. I've just went ahead and edited the ID out of our IDP. Then from here, if you wanted to choose a session duration, how long this person should actually have a token to be authenticated into your site. And then additionally, if you want to revoke those existing tokens that already exist. So then we can choose, in this case, we're going to let people with an @cloudflare.com email address in after they've authenticated properly. And then if we want to do anything else, like maybe with Okta, they have groups, we can go ahead and type in a group that says everyone. And then from there, if we want to choose to allow or deny this group in, we can do that. We'll just remove that for now, go ahead and save it. And then we will take a look at accessdemo.theburritobot.com. It's going to go through a process where I can choose my IDP. So in this case, we'll go ahead and click on Google. All right, and then I'm going to sign in here. We'll go ahead and skip that for a bit. We're going to do our two-step verification through Google. And then finally, once that's done, we've authenticated through this layer, and now we're able to access the accessdemo.theburritobot.com page.
Awesome. And this is general availability. This is released and ready for use currently.
That's correct.
Moving on to Workers. This is an interesting product for us as its application and utility. We have ideas of how it's going to be used, but we're actually looking and having conversations constantly with our customers, and they're coming up with really cool ideas as well. So can you tell us a little bit about Workers, what it is, and again, why we decided to kind of roll this out, and then talk about some of the cool things our customers have come up with?
Yeah, definitely. So Workers, just at a high level, what Workers is at each point of presence that Cloudflare runs, we have the ability to then let you basically write JavaScript and run that at our edge. So if there's anything that you wanted to do as a customer to block, augment, or change the way a request gets a response, once it hits Cloudflare's network, you can set that up. So I think some of the good use cases that the people that I've talked to have had are, basically taking a request as it comes in, using some logic to find out if it's a legitimate user, and then if it's not, just going ahead and giving back a 403 response directly from Cloudflare's edge instead of having to go back to the origin and do anything. One of the more intricate ones that I've seen from a customer that we talked to recently was user makes a response in, there is multiple sub-requests from that request. It's getting all of those pieces from this origin server and then pulling them back and actually stitching or concatenating all the files together and then handing that back as one response. So very, very in-depth. There's a lot you can do with workers. So if you want to check that out, it's actually at developers.cloudflare.com/workers, and you'll see this at the bottom of the slide here. And this will kind of go over, not only what it is, how it works, what resource limits there are, but we have some recipes that you can actually try out yourself as well.
Awesome. And this is, again, GA currently?
That's correct.
Awesome. Workers demo?
Yeah, so let's jump into that as well. So this demo is not as intricate as the the use case that I described here, but we've got the burritobot.com website. We have some some text that just looks pretty with CSS, so it says burritobot, and then we have this hamburger.theburritobot.com that does nothing right now. So we're going to go ahead and go into workers. We want to change how this loads. So we're going to add a script here, and we've got our console on the right side that's loading some things right now. We have our worker script on the left side, so we'll clear both of those out, and we're going to paste in some code that we've already pre-written. So we'll go over this in just a second, just really what it does, but right now we'll put a name to it, we'll save that, and then next we have to decide when we want to actually run this worker. So we'll go ahead and make a new route, and we'll put in hamburger.theburritobot.com/star, and then we'll go ahead and choose hamburger bot from the list here. So then to kind of jump back and talk about this, so essentially what's happening is we are making a request, and then from the origin, if we get back a response that is of the content type text HTML, we'll replace the header burrito bot with the header hamburger bot. So we'll go ahead and try this again. And now you can see that the text is changed. So this kind of just gives you a preview of what really can be done right on our edge, and how you can start to change things without actually going to your origin and making updates.
Awesome. Moving on to Cloudflare Tunnel. This is related to Argo, the Argo products. Can you speak a little bit about that relationship, but how this pertains to the security aspect of things as opposed to Argo, as we reviewed before, was more focused on performance?
Yeah, so I think Argo in general is really trying to do what Cloudflare is stating itself to do. So it's basically making the internet more secure, safe, and performant. So it's taking all of the traffic that should be bound for your origin server, and then really kind of weeding out what isn't necessary, speeding up what is necessary, and protecting the things that come through to you. So I think that's how they really all tie together there.
Gotcha.
And then Argo Tunnel specifically, really what this is doing is it's taking a piece of software that Cloudflare has written, putting it onto your origin server, and it's making that direct connection back to Cloudflare, keeping an open connection, having a heartbeat, persistent heartbeat that makes sure that we're able to talk to you over the internet. And this kind of removes the necessity of having an IP address on your server and broadcasting out to the internet, exactly where you are.
Awesome. One follow-up question. A lot of our customers have seen complement between access and tunnels for securing internal stuff. Can you speak to the way those interact a little bit?
Yeah. So I think, anyone who's really going to be using tunnel, it's for a reason. They probably don't want to broadcast that IP address of their server on the back end. They want to be a little bit more secure from the outside world. So if you kind of pair Argo Tunnel and kind of the security that you gain from that, and then you put an access on top of it, where you have to log in with an IDP like Okta, this kind of gives you a really secure, only I can access this kind of experience.
Gotcha. Cool. CloudFlare Mobile SDK. The inception story here I think is pretty cool as well. So if you could tell us that, that's awesome. We acquired NewMob in 2017, and it would seem like a really, really great fit for the situation they were in and what we could provide. Could you flesh out that story as well as tell us a little bit about the intent and the utility of the mobile SDK?
Yeah. So basically, we as you said, we purchased the NewMob company. The software, the people who made it came along with it. Really smart people. So they were already a well-established company. They already had really good things going on with their customers. But basically, we thought we've always been able to really take the path back from Cloudflare's network to the origin server and optimize that. So we've done that with Argo Smart Routing. We've done that with Railgun in the past. We have really good connections and peering on the internet. But really, the kind of other side of that is the last mile. So we needed a way that we could talk a certain language from the user's device to the Cloudflare network to kind of fill in that last piece of the puzzle. So essentially what NewMob was and what our protocol or SDK does now is basically it's, you drop it directly into your application, and then the application will essentially start to have its network traffic intercepted by the NewMob SDK, and then using a UDP-based transport protocol that we've created with our own congestion control algorithms and optimization on top of it, we have the ability to basically reduce errors and optimize performance from the user to Cloudflare's edge first.
And we're rolling out the mobile SDK in kind of two parts. And can you speak a little bit about what's available now and what will be coming?
Yeah. So right now, anyone and everyone can go ahead and check out developers.cloudflare.com/mobile-SDK. And this will give you some insight into exactly what we're doing, how it works. But if you wanted to go check that out now, we actually do have an open open side of this where it's basically a metrics mode. So you can put this into your SDK. You'll have a dashboard that tells you, of all my network calls without Cloudflare actually touching anything, how are things going? And then further on down the line, where we plan to get to, where NewMob was, is GAing a performance mode. And this is the performance mode that we just talked about with the UDP transport layer. So that is definitely in beta right now. So if there's anyone that's interested, they can always reach out to their CSM, and we can start a beta and drop that into a testing application or their live application in preview.
Awesome. Stream. Brian, Cloudflare, another interesting move for us is we're moving into video. Like Access and a couple of the other products, it seems like, again, folks who know Cloudflare and what we typically have done in the past, it seems like an interesting move for us. Can you talk to us a little bit about why we're making this decision?
Yeah. So we historically have not been able to do any real type of streaming. We really focused on helping people with HLS, Dash, pseudo streaming and chunking of videos and storing those as pieces on Cloudflare CDN. So we've done really well with that. But we've also heard a lot of our customers ask for and look for a different video provider where they can upload their content, have it transcoded, store it, and then have a player. So we heard that from a lot of people and chose to actually go down this route just because we see it as a really good opportunity for us and our customers.
And it makes sense for us because in this stack on this slide, you see storage, encoding, distribution, player, analytics. We're sitting in the middle. We're already ready to distribute. So
Right.
We're just going to basically be building around that. Awesome. Cool. And you have a stream demo.
I do. I've come prepared. Okay. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and actually, we'll drag a video over from my desktop. drop it in here. So this is real-time uploading of the video. In the next section where we go through processing, we'll just go ahead and speed it up a bit, just for the sake of the demo. So essentially, as this is uploading, it's getting pushed to the CloudFlare network, and then from there, we're pushing it to storage that we have. So now we're going ahead and processing this video. That might take about a minute or so. And now we can see there's just a thumbnail of the video that I've uploaded. It tells us a few quick stats, and then just the ability to change how it's embedded. So I want to get the link for that video. I can click on this button here and just copy this. If I want to get any embed code, maybe change the settings of that embed code, so I can put on autoplay or loop or mute. And then I can just copy that from that box there. And then finally, if I need to delete the video for any reason, I can do that here. So one thing that I just want to note is that any of this stuff that you see in the dashboard, in the UI, is also available with an API if that's more suitable.
One question about Stream. Where is the product today, and where is it going? Added integrations, et cetera?
Yeah, so right now we're basically in a GA. So it's general availability. I would say the place that we want to get to is the ability to optimize your player, brand it, and then we want to give people the ability to put analytics and ads inside of the videos to get more information and return on that.
Awesome. All right, moving on then to, last but not least, Cloudflare Spectrum. Historically, we have been really good at proxying HTTP, HTTPS traffic. Talk to me about Spectrum. What is it going to be doing?
Yeah, so we've kind of always heard from our customers that they also want to put their SMTP traffic through us, or they want to put their SSH traffic through us. But there's never really been a good space for us to be in, a while ago. So we've kind of worked on that, seeing what an opportunity there is. So we've opened up, all TCP ports except for 21 and port 80. So if you wanted to, put your any Apple ports through us, SMTP, SFTP, SSH, anything like that, you can go ahead and set that up. And you can put encryption on top of that. And then additionally, if you wanted to, get your DDoS mitigation and IP firewall blocking, you can set that up as well.
Beyond TCP, do we have plans for that?
So we do plan on doing some UDP based stuff, but that is something that we have to investigate a bit more and kind of figure out exactly how that will work in Spectrum.
And you have a Spectrum demo as well?
I do. Yeah. Let me go ahead and pull that up. All right. So in this case, we're going to just add a new TCP application. We'll just put in demo.theburritobot.com here, and we'll set up SSH on 22. And then we're going to put in the IP address of the origin server. In this case, it's a DigitalOcean box. I'm just going right back to 22. And then along with IPv6 that we give by default, you can set up an IPv4 address. So we'll do that here. And then for TLS, we can put on TLS on top of things, or we can turn it off. So in this case, we'll just turn it off for just now. And then finally, if we want the IP firewall to take effect, we can turn that on. And then also the proxy protocol header you can set as well. So now you can see we've got our demo.theburritobot.com set up. It's a TCP application. If you scroll down on the DNS page here, you can see that it's in the list of TCP applications. And then we'll just switch over here and take a look at a dig response. So you can now see that demo.theburritobot.com is going through Cloudflare, pointing to a Spectrum endpoint, and then the IP address that we're pointing to is not the DigitalOcean box that we put in, but it's actually the IP address that was given by Cloudflare for Spectrum here.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to pass it back to John. I guess that wraps up all the new products we wanted to cover.
Guys, exciting stuff. Really exciting stuff.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for reviewing all that today. I'm really happy that we could actually show everyone as well what those products look like. Gives everyone an idea, what different use cases are, and just makes it really clear. So thanks for doing that. Now we'd like to open it up to some questions. So there's some that are coming in as we speak, but let's start with a question about Argo. The question is, what do I have to do to activate Argo? Do I have to install any software?
No. So that's kind of the cool thing about Argo is that just by being on Cloudflare's network, you're already using the Cloudflare point of presence to reach back to your origin. So essentially what we're doing is we're just creating another secure connection from the Cloudflare point of presence that the user hit to another point of presence and then back to the origin. So totally nothing there. You just have to flip a switch and it's enabled.
That easy. Okay. Awesome. Question about rate limiting. Questions, I have a bunch of users behind a NAT. Will rate limiting have false positives for those users?
Yeah. So to kind of break that apart into a couple pieces. So rate limiting, initially we set this up as an IP-based rate limiter. We will essentially take a look at that IP address, and as many times as it's hitting, we'll filter off of that. But we do realize that NAT is a really large use case here, so we actually built an additional functionality into rate limiting where you can turn on the NAT or filter by NAT, and basically that will not only look at the IP address but a cookie that we use as well. So you can actually use rate limiting with NATed IP addresses.
Excellent. Thank you. Question from Alex about ELS log push.
Mm-hmm.
Can we review that again or just talk quickly about log push?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So basically we're in the primary stages right now of log push. So we're kind of, it's a little bit more of a beta right now. But essentially we're taking logs that normally you would pull down from the ELS or Enterprise Log Share RESTful API endpoint, and we can take those and push those up to whether it's Google, GCP, or an Amazon S3 bucket. So we would just need to kind of get in touch. If you could just reach out to your CSM, we would need to get in touch. We need to figure out exactly what the details are about the bucket and how we can gain access to it to send those logs to you. And then we'll just send them on a cadence that we decide on.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Got a question from Tim about workers. Seems like I can do a lot of things with workers. Can I give a response rate from a worker instead of going back to my origin? And can you talk just a little bit about more of other things that I could possibly do with workers?
Yeah. So I think essentially probably it sounds like what you want to do is take a request as it comes into the Cloudflare network, inspect it right there, kind of disassemble it, look at maybe the headers, the source IP, something about the request, and then give back a specific response. So yeah, you can pretty much take the request as it comes in, determine if it's a request that you want to hand back a response right away without going to the origin, and then you can actually assemble a response and then hand that back instead, and then use that in your return.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Brian. Quick question about load balancing. And does it support waiting?
Yep. We actually, it might have been one of the, you may have joined later in the call, but we talked about we talked about load balancing and supporting wait. So basically, if you want to do like a 60-40% split between 2 servers or 5 servers or what have you, we do support waiting right now.
Great. And then we got another one from Sarah about access. After I've authenticated access, do I know which users have been authenticated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a really good use case. So if you have an application on your side that has to actually determine which user is logging in, we'll actually go ahead and send a header that gives you the email address of the user that logged in, as well as a JWT token. So you can read up a little bit more on developers.cloudflare.com about exactly what that header is and how to determine if that token is accurate.
Great. Awesome. Let's see. Got one more coming in here. I use Fastly VCL right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between workers and that product?
Yeah, so VCL, essentially that is, it is a language that is not as common. So if you wanted to write in VCL, or if you already have things written in VCL, this is something that you could actually, if you wanted to talk to your customer success manager, we can actually take that VCL and see if it can be easily converted over into JavaScript. Essentially, anything that you'd want to do with VCL, you can do with JavaScript. I would say the one real big difference here is we have our 151 points of presence that will be expanded out to 200 in the near future. We do TLS termination directly at the Cloudflare point of presence closest to your end user, and then you can start to do that logic and choose how to route those customers a little bit, well, I should say a lot quicker.
Great. Excellent answer. Thank you, Brian. We have time for a few more questions here. One from Ted. Any idea when Spectrum will make it to non-enterprise customers? That's a great question.
That is a great question. So any idea? I will say that we want to make sure that this is a product that is, it's well tested. It kind of goes through the battlefield with our enterprise customers that are testing this with real live traffic, like millions of requests before we release it, completely everywhere to everyone. I don't have a date in mind, to be honest. But if you write into us, either get in touch with successwebinars@cloudflare.com or your CSM, we can definitely kind of keep you in mind and then reach back out as soon as we have more information on that.
Great. Excellent. Sounds good, Brian. Thank you. Looks like that is the questions we have coming in. If someone thinks of something after and you want to share it with us, please do. Happy to reach out, or if you want to talk about a way to try one of the new products, happy to discuss that as well. But thank you everyone for your time today. Thanks Brian and Nick for the great chat and to review what we have coming along here at Cloudflare. And everyone have a great day.
Thanks, John.